It's a very safe environment for an artist to be among other artists. It's bringing out a lot of small little creative seeds that were probably scared to bloom. That just offers itself up to so many possibilities when you're feeling safe personally in your soul. Like, people aren't thinking that you're just very different and a bit of a freak, right? Instead, you're with like-minded people. So me personally, I feel safe, I feel comfortable, and I feel very stimulated, and then my work, I can just see it. I would say more community rather than family, because family does have kind of negative connotations, or could. It also has a whole different set of boundaries. An artist community or an artist commune, I definitely get that sense here. We're all working for the same cause. We all have similar lifestyles. The artistic lifestyle, I think, is quite unique. We're a little bit different in our schedules than most 9-to-5ers. So it's nice that way, that at 2 o'clock in the morning I can walk out in the hall and know that I might bump into another insomniac.
When I was here, it was definitely family-based. I thought it was awesome. Gabby moved in, Paul Roberts, and then Tony and Sarah, right? I think that's when things started getting really fun and good. And Anna lived here too, right? Paul Malchuk. I think we should still be used as a model for, I think, how people should live, because when it was here, it was pretty laid back, open door policy, everyone knew each other. And, I moved to Mill Woods in the suburbs now, and it's like, lock the door, don't talk to anybody, you know what I mean? And I don't know, this place grounds me, and I think it's a good model for a lot of other communities too.
You can't just come here and be here for that long and then just write it off, It's almost too much. It's almost like moving away from home and forgetting about your family, so this really grew me a lot when I first started out.
You're no longer living here, you're living in an apartment complex that's obviously quite different from this.
I don't know my neighbors at all. I miss the interaction. It was like having roommates, but yet having separate spaces. So if you didn't want to see anybody, you didn't have to. If you wanted to talk to somebody, there was always somebody around. Where living in just an average apartment building, it's you just pull yourself away and there's no interaction. There's no energy to it. It's just a place to sleep almost.
Certainly, and that happened early on, of course, just by being in the building, in the hallway. I think it really intensified when the gallery started. We, and I say we because I include myself as part of that process, when we decided that we would use the hallways as a gallery with regular shows and rotating shows. That helped to broaden my communication with the others in the building and very much intensified the sense of a community. In spite of the interaction that happens, we probably tend to stay within our subgroups a lot of the time. Well, there's a diversity of ages here. We have emerging artists, we have senior artists in both senses of the word, and I think it's helpful for all of us to be able to mix.
I do see it. I think there's a really strong feeling between several people, very positive interaction, and I think it's really good because I think making art's a very solitary thing. I think people need to have support, and I think that's the biggest thing that ArtsHab has given the artists here. They've given them sort of a collective and a family, and I think that's really valuable on many, many levels, personal, psychologically, and it's valuable towards the production of their art and how they feel about Edmonton as a city too. I did work at home in my attic, and I had a lot of collaborative work that was coming at the same time, so I had to get out of my house. I could probably make a studio in my garage, but for me, being part of the community is really important. If I stay at home, it's very depressing. I end up getting depressed and withdrawn. I feel that I'm not doing anything in the community. I'm not participating, so it's a very alienating thing. So for me to go downtown and get up in the morning and drive or walk or bike or whatever down here, which is close, which is what I like, I feel that I am participating in Edmonton, and that's very important to me to be a part of it. It was just a horrible struggle, and if that ever happens to me again, I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably crack up.
We were looking to move as a group because the four of us really liked the discourse that we would have as artists, and we worked well in the same sort of environment, so we decided that it would be a good fit to be sharing studio and to be in a community. That's one thing I really like about ArtsHabitat, is being connected to other artists. Producing art is a very isolating activity, and so it's nice when you have a break to be able to interact with other artists. And find support, exactly.
I always approach photography from an artistic point of view. I wanted to take pictures that have social meaning but are also strong visually. But I really reluctantly would have called myself an artist, primarily because I kind of had bad associations with what artists meant. I always associated artists with a lot of pretension and things like that. I'm much more comfortable with the label now since living here because I've had a chance to meet and live with real artists, people that are passionate about what they do and do it for the right reasons. I mean, I still think there's pretentious people in the art community, but here has been very special because there hasn't been a lot of elitism here. Artists have sort of been open to sharing and talking about their art. I have a place here, even though I'm not a painter, and there's a lot of painters here. I've got the sense that my contributions have been valued. This place has the dynamics of a family. You know, there's a real affection for people, but you have the same stuff in families where sometimes there's tension here and you just have to work it out. There's a sense of forgiveness around here, which I think is quite interesting too, thinking about the other person. And it's an interesting place because it's a community of people that are all sort of odd fellows in some ways, odd characters here. And there seems to be a balance between people coming together and doing stuff, but also respecting each other's privacy.
I guess I have a strong belief in community and living in community. So living at ArtsHab was a real opportunity to do that. It's made me realize sort of limitations and the advantages and the benefits of it. There are so many other factors between individuals that can be different. And so there are challenges. I'm really glad that I learned that because then, yeah, it sort of makes me rethink when I imagine my ideal community or living in community, what that means. It hasn't really affected directly my studies or anything like that, but it's been neat to be around people who I consider like my friends, you know, who are really encouraging when it comes to like me dabbling in different types of art or trying to do a painting or a drawing. That's good for me to know and for me to learn from, because being a teacher, that's what you hope to be able to give to students, is that sort of encouragement and yeah, like to inspire them to do things. And just being here in the space that we now have as a gallery, it's opened my eyes to like different types of art and different techniques as well as different mediums. And then I think I'm a little more knowledgeable and awareness of the artist life, trying to make your living being an artist. Oh, I think it's really unique in our city, in our country. I would call it an ArtsHab family. It's different from obviously real family and then your friends that are from outside because you're coming together for different circumstances. It's almost like you became friends because you lived together. For the artists, I guess they had that in common. They were artists. For me, I just feel really privileged to be in a place where I know my neighbors. But also the people who are important in ArtsHab residents' lives. The community is not just us here. It's us and the people we know, the people in our lives. It is unique. And even when I tell people about what it is, I think most people's reaction is like, wow, that's pretty cool. You know, I'd really like to see that. So from that, I can deduct that it's not common. Yeah, I totally think that's special.
And that is actually maybe what's sort of very different about ArtsHabitat as compared to, say, if you go 2 blocks over to one of the condos that maybe has as many people living in a condo floor as there are in ArtsHabitat here, and you go and you poll them to see if they even know who their neighbor is. So I think that says a lot about ArtsHabitat as a sense of community in downtown. I think that there's a lot of condos going in, but I'm not so sure that they are a sense of community, or they're just lots of individuals living, and there is a community of bodies, but I'm not sure that there's a community of spirit. And I think that that's what ArtsHabitat brings, is a community of spirit.